Today we're here to talk about how Enduro in South Africa is going to be structured for 2024. If we look at how Enduro is structured in South Africa for 2024, you have the SANE series, South African National Enduro, which sits at the top. Those are your two national 3-day events. Below those you have your regional championships, which qualify for regional colours, which are hosted by Lowveld, KZN Racing and CSMX. Okay, at a regional level, those are qualifying events for nationals, and then underneath that is your Enduro Cup series, which is your fun racer, no license required, on the day entry, but you still get your points allocated to the Enduro series or the Enduro Cup championship, and that's your bottom part of the pyramid. And all of those are interconnected as one Enduro ecosystem. So you progress from Enduro Cup through to regionals and internationals. So there are three components to Enduro. Okay, we have obviously nationals, we have regionals, and we have Enduro Cup. So what are those three? Enduro Cup is probably the most important one in terms of the health of the sport. Enduro Cup is targeted at your fun rider racer who wants to get into Enduro, doesn't feel that they're ready for regionals or nationals, but wants to see where they stand at that level. So Enduro Cup, you get to ride and race alongside regional and national guys, but compete against people in your own class at your own level. And importantly, Enduro Cup, there's no upfront licensing fees, no WAMSA and no MSA upfront cost. Okay, so you enter on the day, and your day entry includes your day license and your entry fee. So the barrier to entry at Enduro Cup is super low. It's a fun event, but remember, it's still a race series. Okay, so when you race Enduro Cup, your points from each event that you enter, you register on the Enduro South Africa website, and your points accrue to an Enduro series winner at the end of things. So you can win your Clubman's / Enduro Cup class at a regional level and at a nationwide level. So that is a class that we're focusing heavily on. Okay, so fun riders, you still get a national standard event, MSA and FIM endorsed, so you've got the full standards, regulations, consistency, but for your fun rider. Your next level, and remember these races run concurrently, your next level is your regional event, and that's 3 regional series, CSMX in the Cape, Lowveld Enduro in the north, and KZN Racing in the south. At a regional level, same thing, you've got your Enduro Cup riders, but your next level up is your regional racer, who is now competing for regional colours and qualifying for nationals through those events. Okay, that rider at a regional level pays a 2,500 Rand licensing fee, which sounds high, but it includes medical aid, MSA medical option 1, and it covers your license for nationals, and if you've done nationals, it covers your license for roof. Okay, so that at 2,500 Rand, that's a lot of value, and it's significantly cheaper than it was last year. So that's the regional thing. From there, you've qualified via regionals for nationals. Nationals, which is now called SANE, SA National Enduro, it's the SANE series. That is now 2 3-day events. One in May, which this year I think will be in Natal, and one in October, which will be in Northerns. And those events is almost like a roof MP style format, 3 days of racing. It'll involve special tests, new formats to make it sexier for spectators and draw engagement from the crowds. But it's 2 3-day events. So now you have a progression: Enduro Cup, regional championships, national championships, and all of those are interconnected. In the past, nationals were sort of separated from everything. Now you've got a flow from Enduro Cup through to nationals. So anybody entering the sport, start off in Enduro Cup. It's still going to be a competitive series. Okay, it's not a beginner series, but it's a fun race series that gives you the opportunity to step into regional and then international. At a regional level, when we talk about costs, last year, if you wanted to race nationals, if you went for full medical, you had a 5,000 Rand MSA license, plus your 150 grand travel, and if you were behind on points by the second round, are you going to keep investing in the series? And that's why that whole series, the numbers starts to decrease as you go along. So to fill in that gap at the bottom level, and when I say bottom level, I mean that in the nicest possible way, is your fun rider, your fun racer. We've got to get him into the system. He's not going to pay a $5,000 license for the year. So MSA, and this is where, MSA need to be given credit for stepping in and supporting. So what they have done is we've introduced the Enduro Cup class. Okay, for your man in the street, your guy new to Enduro, that's a series that runs at a regional level and moves into the national series. Okay, but it's not a national event. Your entry includes your MSA license for the day and your race entry. No upfront licensing. He gets the full race experience, and his points, he registers on the site, his points go into the Enduro Cup series. So an Enduro Cup is essentially your clubman fun racer. So he will have, there's a series at a regional level, so you can see who's the best clubman in each class at a regional level. And when you go to nationals, because clubmans and Enduro Cup go to the national series and race there. Okay, and now you can race against other clubmans around the country. So that brings that whole barrier to entry right down. $350 per race, no upfront licensing, and you get the full experience. So I think MSA and that model now draws in all those racers looking for a home. They want to race and they want to get that experience, because now you're racing the same loops and the same format as your national guys. You can see, how do I stand? How do I stand against the regional guys? Everybody looks at times. Where do I stand against a regional guy and a national guy? And then you know when you're ready. Then you just step up a level. From a class and an event thing, super important. Enduro Cup, that's your fun racer, new to Enduro, no upfront licensing, come and have fun. You race at the regional races in the same classes and formats, but you're not under pressure to race against a regional guy. Your regional guys, those are the more advanced guys. You want to win a regional championship, qualify for provincial colours, that's where you are. Okay, and you do that within your region, and out of that you qualify. If you feel you're ready, you go to nationals. So when you arrive at a national event, you've got your regional riders who are at a national level and are ready to compete, and you've also got your Enduro Cup guys who are there experiencing a national. So that's anybody can ride Enduro Cup, but you're there, you're getting the full national experience, you're getting a feel for how those events are run, safe, consistent, all the bells and whistles, but no intimidation factor. So you come, you have fun. So you've got 3 days of racing in amongst the best in the country, value, safe and secure, and you know for sure that those loops are going to be class specific. If you send your kid out on a bronze loop and he's new to Enduro, you know there's going to be marshals following him, he's going to get around, he's going to enjoy it. So the regional series, regional championships, super important, because the regionals now, you race your regional event. So if you're in the Cape, you race CSMX, North, Lowveld and South KZN racing. 2,500 Rand licensing fee, which includes your option 1 medical from MSA. Okay. Now people say, 2,500 Rand sounds a lot, but remember, that 2,500 also covers your national license for nationals, and if you race nationals, it also covers your licensing for roof. So anybody who's racing regional, so that's your non-fun rider. So a guy who's serious, he's evolved out of Enduro Cup, and he's into regionals, 2,500 Rand, medical covers in there, and you've got your national license and your roof license covered. So that's for 2,500 Rand, I can tell you now, that's a superb deal. Yeah. And you've got the option to upgrade your medical. I still say, if you look at our sport, upgrading your medical is still a thing that you should, even if you've got discovery, you've got all those things. When you have a big one, unfortunately, our sport does have casualties. And if you look at how our MSA has always stepped up, whenever there's an issue, you ask the people who've been unfortunate enough to have incidents. MSA don't ask questions, MSA get it done. Same thing, if something land burns down, there's an accident, MSA get onto it. There is no questions asked. And they do deserve credit for that. We simplify classes. If you have too many classes, you're just diluting. Rather have 9 healthy classes than 25 weak classes. Okay, but so we've set up a class structure, we've set up a loop standard structure, but at a club level, we don't want to go and break something that's working. Okay, but we also want to get clubs to align their riders, get them used to that regional and national thing. So when they arrive there, they understand it. So, you know, Lowveld might have a different way of progressing juniors. I mean, when I say juniors, the picking it, okay, into the system. Cape might have their own way, and KZN. Everybody needs to fine tune, because at the end of the day, remember, is that regions are also competing against each other. So there's going to be a champion region. Okay, so everybody says, oh, Natal, we'll just walk away from it. Not necessarily, because in the structure next year, the champion region is going to be determined not just by how the riders performed, it's by how many riders you bring to a class. When you bring 5 riders to a 65 class, you get bonus points for that. So every region needs to focus on filling up their classes, okay, to become a champion region. So, you know, how you do it, you know, Lowveld have been brilliant. Whether Lowveld say, right, we've got bronze, silver, gold, and we've got all the way down to junior, and you add an iron or a pink, kids hate winning a pink class.
Iron class.
You call it a scrubs class or a future champions class, whatever it is, for those little guys, because that is, for me, the success of the series. Next year, this time, if I look in and I see we've got 50 juniors at a national level, we're winning.
That's 'cause
or 150 Enduro Cup riders, then we're winning. Because all of those by default will advance and move in 2 years' time, maybe even sooner, they pop into national level. So how the clubs do it, and Lowveld has been brilliant at hoovering up those junior riders. You look how strong their junior system is, their weekend warrior base, and we're not going to ask a club to reinvent how they do it. The reason we went with those clubs is because they've got a model that works. But you need to standardize that so that they get used to the format, the classes, and the progression to national. So within National Enduro next year and Regional and Enduro Cup, that racing there is Enduro focus. So we have the bronze, silver, gold format, and that's level of difficulty in the routes. That's not a class. So bronze, silver, gold, and class specific. So for example, your juniors and your ladies, they'll ride bronze. A bronze loop at Enduro is going to be at 85, should get around there without any stress. We don't want to see riders looping out, crying. That bronze is going to be a great Enduro ride. A guy coming across from cross country, from MX, a newbie, will get around a bronze loop. Silver and gold, obviously the level of difficulty starts to increase, but gold is not going to be this ledge walking, looping. Gold is going to be tough, but it's going to be rideable, it's going to be a test. Okay, so within Enduro, we don't want to see people throwing 200k bikes off ledges and kids crying. It needs to be class specific, it needs to be doable, and we want to see people new to the sport leaving the event saying, that was lucky, I'm going to be back. Okay, and then the Extreme Series is one of those, as that grows, as people move deeper into Enduro, up into the gold class, and they want to go and test themselves there, then that'll start to grow, because it's got a base that is now filling. You know, as soon as we've got 150, 200 juniors, we've got ladies, we've got seniors in there, all of that naturally, it builds on itself naturally. Okay, the talent develops and it spits out in extreme riders and hard enduro riders. So it becomes self-fulfilling. Instead of the other way around, where we're trying to recruit extreme guys, a cross-country guy is specific. He's not going to jump into extreme. He'll go to enduro, have fun, travel the country, and over time, he'll start to enjoy rocks and rivers and routes and move into extreme. So it's important that it's inclusive. Extreme is one of those difficult ones. I honestly believe that, you know, as the sport evolves, you know, extreme or hard enduro is where the sport is evolving to. The challenge you have, like I said earlier on, is, you know, there's a stepping stone to hard enduro and to extreme. You've got to build a base and you've got to take people into it. So yes, everybody wants extreme, it's a beautiful thing to watch, but the reality is in the country you've got 40, 50 riders that can do those events. So we've set up a parallel series. It will have national standing, a 4-race series for extreme. And we use that as a guinea pig to see how that evolves over the course of next year. And then we use the Enduro Championship to now recruit and develop riders who can then start moving across to extreme. I think one of the difficulties of our sport is, and I'm not knocking cross country. Cross country, you can get off the couch today, buy a bike, and you will finish a cross country loop, 100%. Enduro is a completely different thing, from a physical, from a strength, from a time out there, skills. It's a different animal, but it's also one of the most rewarding. Once you get into it, once you understand it and you've progressed into it, it's the most rewarding sport there is. The places we go, the family aspect, and that's why it's the fastest growing off-road discipline or motorsport discipline globally. I mean, it is the fastest growing. But we've got to harness all of that and create that base of juniors, that layer of people new to the sport, and give them a path to progress. And that series for next year, that ticks all of those boxes. But you've got to have riders that, instead of keyboard racing, actually get up and say, right, I'm going to go and enter Enduro Cup. It's not going to cost me any more than it costs to go and do a fun ride, go and support the series.